Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Poetry in the PM. I hope you guys are doing well. Sorry I had to delay today another hour. I knew that when I started this whole journey that I would be unreliable to keep a constant time, at least for most of the time. So I very consciously called it Poetry in the PM, knowing that sometimes it would be different times in the PM. It could not always be 2 p.m. I shoot for 2 p.m. And on most days I make that. And I know you guys are in different time zones, so sometimes that means that hour difference means that you got to sign off, you got to go to bed, or you got to go to work, or wherever it is you are in the world. And but again, they stay live for 24 hours, so you guys can catch them. Oh, it's 11 p.m. in England. See, thank you for saying that, Martina X Grays. Anyways, I'm trying my best to keep a schedule, but it is Poetry in the PM. I never promised I was going to keep it to the same time. So, thank you. Just had a bunch of errands to run today, did some grocery shopping. What have you guys been up to today? Thursday, week's almost over. Almost got the weekend coming up. Haven't drank a lot of water. This is your daily reminder to drink more water. I never remember to drink water. It's so important to drink water, especially as you get older. Hydration and your pH levels and getting water into your body is so important. And I can go sometimes a whole day without drinking water just because I'm busy. I'm not thinking about it. I get hungrier much faster than I get thirsty. So, and sometimes it's easier to drink like a juice or a coffee or a beer or something like that. So water. Water will save your life and extend it. Amy Mayburn, I finished my exams today. It's been horrible doing it at home. Well, congratulations to you, Amy. I hope you're doing well, and congrats. That's amazing. Their water drinking reminder apps. Oh God, hopefully I don't have to get to that. Hopefully it doesn't get that bad that I get an app to remind me to drink water. Jeez. That sounds like some really dystopian kind of concept, like an app that reminds you to breathe, an app that reminds you to drink water, to eat, because we've become robots and we're obsolete. All right. Today is kind of a funny day. Yesterday, I was my late grandmother's birthday, and every year my mother and I, my family, kind of get together and we talk about her and celebrate her. We might send a photograph or an old memory we have of her. And I lost my grandmother to cancer when I was quite young. So although I definitely have some fond memories of her, they're all through a child's eyes. And I didn't ever really get to have this like amazing relationship with her that was deeper, that was, a relationship that you have when you're more an adult and you can talk about adult things and hear her perspective on the world. It was, the memories I have of my Aunt Joan were that of play, of pretend, of make-believe. She was incredibly animated. She played the piano. She would row the music out of the piano, as we said in the poem the other day, and an incredible entertainer, cook, an amazing smile that she gave to most of her children and certainly her daughters. So I also have lost my grandfather quite some time ago as well. But my grandfather, I definitely got to become a young man around my grandfather. So I mean, there was a deep bond I had with my grandfather. He shaped so much of my mind and was an incredible, just almost impossible standard of male role model to live up to. He was an engineer, he was an architect, he was a boxer, he was a man's man. He could build anything. He built a cottage, with his bare hands, and, planned the whole thing by himself on Lake Joseph in Canada, in Ontario. For those of you Canadians listening, we had a cottage growing up on Lake Joseph that he built with only the help of his family and some close friends. He built his forever home. And that's where my grandparents lived full time when I was young. And then my grandmother passed, and we sold the cottage, and we moved them to Parry Sound. But yeah, he was an incredible man. He was the kind of guy that if he didn't know how to do something, instead of hiring someone to do it, he would simply take a course or learn how to do it himself. He would never want to pay someone else to do what he was perfectly capable of doing. And he's definitely inspired me a lot. He was a man of few words, very Buddhist. Whenever it's my Nana Joan's birthday, I can't help but also think of him and them together as a couple. They were very in love and a very beautiful duo. He was the strong, silent type, and she was the wild, bubbly entertainer. And they really complemented each other. But my mother sent me something that I had read at my grandfather's funeral many years ago. God, I can't even remember where it was now. Probably about 10 years ago. Anyways, I had wanted to speak at my grandfather's funeral, and I wrote something for him, and I was his caretaker for the last 2 weeks. He was suffering from some prostate cancer, and as well as some dementia he was having towards the end. And I was kind of stopped everything that I was doing in my life and decided to take care of him with my mother. And for the last 2 weeks of his life, we were just his full-time caregivers in his home. And at his funeral, I wrote something. And now there's been a lot of losses lately, a strange, alarming amount. Not due to COVID, but just in general. Certainly seeing in the media, we've lost some really great people, and just wanted to share what I wrote about my grandfather, which is obviously deeply personal and helped me a lot kind of process that moment. And reading it, to this day helps me process it, because he was just such an amazing guy and a great loss. And so I'm going to read it for you guys and hope that it eases some of your pain and maybe makes you remember some of the memories that you had with a loved one who no longer is with us. And so I'll just give it a read. To the funerals that I've been to, I've always got a sense of mourning a death. But with Bobby was my grandfather. We all called him Bobby. His name was Robert, Bob, but we all called him Bobby. So that's why I reference him as Bobby. And my grandmother's name was Joan. But with Bobby's, I really do feel a celebration of a great life. It seems like ages ago I was here for Nana Joan's funeral, standing next to my cousin's side, reading reading something we had written together for Nana. I was too young, really, fully comprehend the finality of death. But I remember seeing and identifying the result or effect that a loss has on a family. As I grew up, I joined the pack of those who say, I really wish I got to know my grandparents better. I really do. I was too young to have a real memorable relationship with my grandmother. Luckily, I can't say the same for Bobby, my grandfather. He is so much a part of my growing up, so much a part of the male role model and example that was set for me. I have such fond memories of fishing and sailing and even making beer with Bobby, even when I didn't know what beer was. Since I've discovered what beer was, I have a much deeper and profound appreciation for what he's done. I always thought of Bobby as a sort of philosopher, or at least his soul was that of one. My memories of him are always ones of him sitting and observing as if contemplating the possible fates of our world. A Buddhist-like inner peace in him. He seemed to just go with the flow. Bobby always gave great importance to family, and the cottage was really an example of that. I always felt like he was the happiest when surrounded by all he loved. I too carry that torch and believe that family is the utmost importance. I was so happy that when Bobby was weak, the family flocked to his side, even though he never wanted anybody's help. Us men in the family are stubborn that way. Bobby, like many other great men, accomplished so much in his life. And I don't even know them all. It will take my whole life to document Bobby's footsteps through this world. And it's because of this, he always had so much to teach. I've always been fascinated in his knowledge. He's always been so cultured and well-read and well-traveled, and this always intrigued me. I think certainly a part of why I chose storytelling as a profession is of the incredible inspiration that I received from so many of Bobby's stories. From when I was very young to just a few months ago. And I know I will make him proud by telling his stories someday. About a week ago, I was with Bobby, and I wanted to get him out of the bed and by the window of the house so he could look out and see the view. Thought I'd maybe put on some music and create a nice atmosphere. There were 3 CDs, and I asked, "Which would you like to listen to, Bobby? Christmas Carols collection, Frank Sinatra, or Ella Fitzgerald?" And without skipping a beat, he said, let's put on Frankie." And we did. To a man who did it his way and did hell of a job, I hope that wherever you may be, it's Patatini time all the time. Thank you. So that's what I wrote and spoke in front of my family and many other people at my grandfather's funeral. And the last line, "I hope it's Patatini time all the time." Patatini time was sort of something that we had in our family at the cottage growing up. Basically trans into happy hour. It's when all the adults would start drinking and eating, crisps and chips and nuts and little aperitivos, aperitifs. But he so loved this word patatini, which is how you say chips in Italian. And so it was a way of sort of amalgamating and folding in some Italian culture into their very Canadian Anglo culture. And so we called like around 4 or 5 o'clock as the sun was sort of starting to dip over Lake Joseph, and sort of the sunset would be kind of coming through the pine trees. We'd all get on the deck, and all the adults would start, whipping out gin and tonics and vodkas and potato chips and eating, and I would just have like juice or something, like my 1000th juice of the day. And so I basically said at the end of my speech, I hope it's Patatini time all the time. I hope it's happy hour all the time, wherever you are. And yeah, so I think, to anybody who's lost anybody this year, or for anybody who's going through a tough time with someone's health right now, I'm with you. I hear you, I feel you, and I send you all the love in the world. It's always about not acknowledging the loss of a life, but rather the celebrating of a life lived well. And God, you gotta take the time that we have. And we were speaking, for those of you who yesterday watched Jason and I's live, we couldn't do it on my Instagram, we had to go to his Instagram. But for those of you who did hop over and join me, we talked about, Jason's mother's not doing, well at the moment, so he's been helping her, and we have a lot of people in the same situation, and this time where people are, unemployed or working from home, or certainly their lives have been changed, it has sort of, in a way, afforded us more time to spend with the people who love, and sometimes the people who need us, who don't get our attention, our love, our affection, and our time, which is so valuable. And so I hope if there's anybody here listening who is in that situation, I hope you're profiting from this time given to you, that you can spend it with your loved ones. Anyways, yeah, that's it. It's not really a poem, but I'd love to hear from some of you guys and your thoughts. And yes, that's hydrating. Okay, let me see if I can some of your comments. A lot of loves. How do you say grandpa in Italian? Nonno. But he wasn't my Italian grandfather, so I would just call him, honestly, I would just call him Bobby. I never called him grandpa or gramps or granddad. It was just Bobby. It was just his nickname, basically. Everybody just called him Bobby. That's like, no matter who you were, that's what you called him. Audrey Bier says, beautiful words. I never met my grandfathers, but I have wonderful memories of my grandmothers. Beautiful. Well, I'm happy that you do at least have some kind of a relationship with your grand generation, that you got to get some of their gifts. Not many questions. Okay, you guys got some questions? What have you guys been up to? I have a guest on tomorrow. I can't tell you about her yet, but she's super cool, and I think you guys are really going to dig her, and I'm excited for her to come on and read a poem. I think a couple poems, if I'm not mistaken. Love my grandpa so much. Gasol Heather 90. I feel you. Have you been to Canada? I'm from Canada. How are you? Or do you mean like recently, since the COVID? I've not, no. Does anybody have a poem? Would anybody like to read a poem? My grandpa really inspired me. Lost him over a year ago. Sorry to hear that. DeLuca forever. What's my favorite Italian movie? That would probably be Cinema Paradiso. Who's got a poem? Anybody want to come and read a poem? You have to have a poem, though. You can't just get on and then just, like, freak out and ask me questions and all this. You got to have a poem. And we can talk about it like Giada the other day. It's got to be like that. Ciao dall'Italia, Deborah Bondielli. Ciao. What was your first language? Italian was my first language. Hello from the Philippines. I hope you watched yesterday's show. Jason is Filipino, and we read a poem from a Filipino poet. Little Maggie B. Jada's poem was beautiful. I know. Thank you for saying that. I hope she heard that too. I want to serve food to strangers, and go do it. What are you waiting for? Get out of this live and go do it. That's amazing. Get some reusable bags and make some PB&J sandwiches and some water and hit the road. Italian word of the day. I feel like you might be the same person that reminds me of that. I could be different people, but I feel like you're the same person who reminds me of that. Italian word of the day. I guess it could be nonno. Nonno. Grandfather. Since we're talking about my grandfather and his life and what it meant to me. Yeah. Favorite country I've traveled to. God, I don't. So many beautiful places I've been to. Very lucky. Of recent years, I'd probably have to say Kenya. Kenya is one of the most stunning places and stunning people I've ever met. It was a real trip. I still think about it. Can I send you a poem and read it? Too shy. No, you're going to read it. Fiore Pasquini. No, sorry. Sam NY07. Do you want to come read your poem? Somebody want to read a poem? Going once, going twice, going thrice. Anybody want to come on and read a poem? Wow, I'm surprised. It's crazy. I thought you guys would be like chomping at the bit to come on the live, and now you guys are all shy. Jada, you got another one? We'll see if we can get somebody else, but maybe we'll patch you in anyway. Come on, guys, really? Nobody has a poem? You can even read a poem that's not yours. You don't have to write it. I'm just saying, do you have a poem in the sense of like, do you have a poem that you've found that is either you wrote it or you found it and you'd like to share it? I see you, Jada. Hello to Brazil. Hello, hello, hello. How you guys doing? Amy Mayburn, do you want to come and read your poem? Amy Mayburn, do you want to come read your poem? You thought you got me, but you didn't. Memory. Because I eat lots of carrots. Oh no, that's for your eyes. Never mind. I don't know. It's good for your memory. Amy Mayburn, do you want to go live? Do you have a poem? Let me see if I can find you. I'm trying to find this Amy Mayburn person. Did that person leave? Sorry, guys. Next time, I'll be prepared. Amy Mayburn, going once, going twice. You said you had a poem, but then you disappeared. Did you get stage fright? Carriage Keller. Carriage Keller, I have one. Oh, it says no, she's here. Olivia KOO, no, she's here. I can't find her on my requests. Okay, who else got a poem? Amy doesn't seem to be here. Does somebody else want to read a poem? Snow Bullet 54222020. I got you. Snow Bullet. Can you give me your poem? Can you request to join the live? Snow Bullet 54222020. You got a poem for me, man? All right. Here we go. Hello? Oh, he left. Uh-oh, did we get some stage fright? What happened there? Man, this is challenging. You guys you say you want to read a poem and then I bring you guys on and then you leave. Or you say, "Oh, I got one," but then you're like, I'm too shy, I don't want to read it." Come on, who else wants to read? I really wanted this Snow Bullet person to read. Let me see if I can get them again. Okay, they don't want to come on. All right. Does anybody else want to read a poem? Or do I got to bring Jada back here? Do I got to bring Jada on, you guys? Who wants to read a poem? Wow, okay. I think I'm going to try and bring Jada on then. I'm not seeing you guys' requests. I'll bring another person on maybe after.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. Good to see you again, Jada.
You too.
Am I saying your name right? I don't want to say your name wrong.
I mean, either way is really fine.
How would you like me to say your name?
It really either way is fine to me. But most people call me Jada. But
Jada. Okay, I'll call you Jada.
Okay.
There you go, Jada.
That works.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you're lucky. You had all these people who couldn't get their act together. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna bring Jada on then, and she's gonna read another one.
I know. I would have loved to hear somebody else's poetry, but I figured, might as well try to
You
share.
seem happy today. How are you?
I'm okay.
Okay, good. I saw your news the other day that you got accepted into your school.
Yes, I did. I applied to a film school in Vancouver, and it's like a 6-month program. And I had a application, then a phone interview, then I had to submit a monologue, and they reviewed the monologue and got back to me yesterday after, like right after.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I guess you're going to be going to Vancouver pretty soon.
It's actually, it starts in March, so I have a bit.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
quite some time.
Yeah, I have a bit of time
Okay. All right.
to prepare.
Well, hey, I'm from Canada, so I'm happy you're going to Canada. Canada is a beautiful place. I think you're going to love Vancouver.
Yeah, I love Canada a lot. I've been there for vacation with my dad, and it became like my favorite place.
Oh, beautiful. All right, so tell me about this poem.
Well, I have started to write some slam poetry. Well, yeah, I guess. Um, just kind of about experiences I've faced and struggles that I've faced, kind of.
Mhm.
And this one is, I would say, about stigma over mental health and how it's kind of perceived in a certain way, and it's like you have to be happy all the time, you can't say when you're sad, you have to be a certain way, and it's like nobody's that way, nobody's perfect, nobody's happy all the time, and it's
Yeah.
like we portray this life on social media, which is a life that we don't have, and people think, well, this person's perfect, this person's happy, why can't I be happy? So it's a bit like about,
Social media has definitely made it very hard on your generation for sure.
yeah, yeah,
It's you guys are always looking at other people and forced to compare yourselves, and that's just something that I didn't really have growing up.
yeah,
Um,
definitely,
but you guys certainly have, and it's a challenge. It's you got to have thick skin to be able to receive that information and look at it and say, okay, I don't need to. I can enjoy and be happy for that person for whatever they may have or whatever they may possess, but I don't need to compare myself to
yeah,
that image, and I certainly don't need to put them on some kind of pedestal because I'm not where they're at. Because
yeah,
everybody's journey and everybody's life is different,
yeah,
and
for sure,
there's also not one road to each of these lives. There's many different ways, and we all can peak at different times in our life, and it's hills and valleys, you know what I mean? It's ups and
yeah,
downs.
yeah,
Life's not constant, nothing's constant. And so to compare yourself to one snapshot of a photograph of one moment in time, I mean, when that person maybe the next day could have lost everything,
yeah,
or lost a loved one or had a horrible tragedy, strike in
yeah.
their life. We got to be more self-aware and
Yeah.
confident in ourselves in our own life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and of course it's I'm not saying in any way that it's bad to post pictures that make you feel happy.
No, you
I
should.
think that you should just be able to share the bad moments if you want to. Of course, it's your choice.
Definitely.
But
No, I think you've hit on something very important there, Jada, and that I think that like, a lot of people, whether you're, a celebrity entertainer or not, that there does need to be a little bit more, transparency on social media and people sharing the bad with the good. There's a famous saying of, gamblers and casinos, they never say when they lost. They always tell you when they won, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like we also got to share the losses. We also got to share when we're having the bad days, because when we share that, then we help our fellow human who will inevitably face hardship, face it when it's their turn.
yeah.
So tell us about share your poem with us.
Okay, yeah. So this one's a bit longer than the one before, just to.
Okay.
Mm.
Should I sit
Oh,
down? I'm sitting. I'm kidding.
it looks like you're sitting. Yeah, so I think you're good. Um, you're weak. You're weak. What do I have to do to be able to speak and be heard? Relapse. Go back. It's because you are weak. You are weak. You are weak. Hi, please tell me your name, your date of birth, your age. Okay, thank you. Now go on your way. Thank you for giving me time in your day. Someone will be in shortly. Then she leaves me alone, gone with no more words. If you just gave me a second, if you just gave me some time, maybe I had something to say, but it doesn't really matter to you. That's why you didn't give me the time of day. Next in line, next. Take a look at that price. Hi, so I hear you're depressed, is that right? I nod my head. Well, honey, if you don't talk to me, I won't get this right. If you don't talk to me, you aren't helping yourself, you're just making things worse. You don't want to be here forever, right? So let's go, say some words. Can't you see I'm trying? My mind has so many words that want to be said, but the world makes it so difficult for the words to leave the comfort of my head. Go ahead now, strip down to your socks. You can leave your bra and underwear on, but everything else off. Do you self-harm? Do you have scars? Okay, I see them now. Now turn and move a little closer. Here, put this on. I'm no longer a person. I'm just an object you can pawn. I get it, you have to check me before letting me into your store. But can you make it feel a little more human, make me feel a little less like a product? You'll get out by playing the game, they say, but do not be dishonest. It isn't the same. Do what you are told. Use the tools you are given. Can you talk to me? Can you tell me why you are here? You need to speak. You're lonely. Would you say you hang out with friends a lot? I don't have many, not ones that understand me. My eyes fade over to the sign on the wall. No trading information. Your priority should not be to make friends. You are not here to make friends. You are here to focus on yourself. Fast forward. If you can't say it aloud to the room that it's not appropriate to say, just back away. Look, a new face. Hello, my name is, well, it doesn't really matter now, does it? Do you want to go and play a game? Another new face. She's just a child. I listened to her cries for a few nights. It must have been scary for her. And you tell me, you don't belong here. This isn't your life. In and outs of the hospital will not be the game you play. Yeah, well, what about her? Water dripping down my face, sometimes cold, sometimes okay. As soon as the faucet turns off, I hear a distinct screaming, a crying, longing for help, a desperate reach to be grounded. I peek my head out at the door to see another girl, a different one, shrinking down to the floor, covering her eyes, covering her ears, closing her eyes. She's crying for help too, but for a different reason. Security guards run through, and we all look at each other, not knowing what to say or what to do. Okay, movie time, let's go. We're starting a bit early today, but that's okay. Go get your snack and blast the television to block the screaming. But there is no setting loud enough to unhear that pain. Jada, what are you thinking right now? What are you scared to say? We are here to help you. How many more times do we have to explain it? How am I supposed to focus? I can still hear the screaming, the piercing noise of pain in my ears. So what do you want from me? I'm trying to unhear it, but I can't. I just can't. Stop that. Stay still. Go to your room and keep quiet. Stop it. Stop it. How many more times do I have to say it? Be still. Stay quiet. He can't. He can't. Maybe he's trying his best. He has severe ADHD. It's hard to rest. But you know, the real world doesn't care about it, right? About that, right? All they care about are fairy tale endings and fitting in with society. It's hard to feel comfortable in your own skin. The real world doesn't care about where you've been. It doesn't care about your struggles. All you have to do is blend in. But how do you blend in to a world that doesn't accept you for who you are? You change yourself to blend in. You have so many different of your versions of yourself, but none of them are really you. You begin to wonder who your true self is. Doesn't matter though, because no one will accept me for me. So no, I can't speak, not until I figure out the right thing to say. I have to keep my mouth shut until I can figure out what to say and how to say it. You are asking me to be honest, and I say I never lie. When I say that, I think it to be truthful, but maybe it isn't quite there yet. If I expose myself, if I am truly honest, then people might just see how truly broken I am and no longer accept me.
Whoa, that was a lot.
Yeah,
That was
yeah,
quite the journey you took us all on. Thank you.
yeah.
Now, when you work on these poems, is this something that just kind of like runs out of your mind and onto the page, or is this something you spend days, weeks kind of perfecting, jotting down, adding to? How does this work in your mind? How do you work?
Well, sometimes the words kind of just come rushing out, and um, it's just everything comes out at once, and I like have to run to find a pencil or paper or run to get my phone to write something on notes because I don't want to forget it. I think that's kind of how this one happened, but other times it takes me, I want to write, and it just takes me like days to get something out. But usually after I do type the first draft, um, I I go back and fix it so it makes sense.
Sure.
But yeah, this one kind of just came out.
Now, if I'm from my interpretation, of course, just only my interpretation, it seemed like um, it might have been about you, or you might have placed yourself in the driver's seat. I know you mentioned your name in it. Someone was speaking your name.
Yes.
Um, and then it seemed like it was some kind of an experience of being in some kind of um, facility,
Yeah.
some kind of um, mental health facility.
Hmm.
Is that an experience that you've had, or you're writing from a perspective of being in one, or
I did. Yeah, I did.
yeah? So this was about your time there.
Yeah. Um,
Okay.
I was very nervous to write it, and I actually had posted a video on my own social media account, which I got good feedback of um, nice feedback, which was nice. But I was a bit nervous about posting it and saying it and writing it because, again, there's the stigma on it, and I feel that people will think less of me if they know that about me, which they shouldn't, because it happens. It
Absolutely, they shouldn't.
but
Yeah, and I just want to congratulate you and tell you how brave and courageous you are for sharing that with us. You know what I mean?
thank you.
That's no easy feat. A, to just put that on paper and share with nobody, and then it's a whole other feat of bravery and courageousness to share in front of all of these people. So you should definitely be very proud of yourself and give yourself a big pat on the back. And
Thank you. I appreciate it.
clearly you got a very strong head on your shoulders, because you're absolutely right. Nobody should treat you any differently because they know that about you. And in fact, I think I like you even more because you shared that with me, because I
Thank
feel
you.
like I know more about you, and I feel like everybody else should feel the same way. And I've seen nothing but positive, amazing
Yeah.
comments down here telling you how amazing you are and how courageous you are and how you have such a bright future.
Yeah.
So I hope
Thank
uh, I
you.
hope I hope you feel that love. I certainly feel it for you. Um, okay, and then I guess what did you feel again? Because going back to stigma, there's not just stigma about um, the conditions, but there's also stigmas about the way that we treat these conditions, right? And so in your poem, you're talking about one methodology of treatment, which is going into a facility and speaking to people and games to play and
Yeah.
conversations, therapy, all of these different things. So did you feel that? Of course, I haven't spoken to anybody who's been through those sort of things that haven't been frustrated with some parts of it. It's not all good, of course.
Yeah.
It's a challenge being in those places. It's hard. It's a battle. It's a fight. But
Yeah. For sure.
did you find that there was some positive things, some things that you remember? You know what? That was annoying, that was challenging, but I met this person there and that was really lovely to meet that person, or I was given this exercise to do and I actually really got something out of it. You know what I mean? Was there some takes that maybe
Yeah.
you could share with somebody else who was in a similar situation, that maybe that you could arm them with some tools?
Yeah. Of course. So I this was semi recent. But it was really a as much as it was scary and hard and stressful. Um, I met a lot of great people, and I had connections that just formed that I didn't think was possible. There were feelings that I didn't think were possible that I got the chance to experience. And I think that's really important, to be around people who understand you and allow you to be yourself. We had music sessions. We At night we'd all kind of gather around, and one of the nurses would let one of the kids play the keyboard, and we'd all kind of me and this other girl wrote a song, and another girl, a younger girl, wrote a song for me and my friend. So it was just kind of singing sessions, and we had group and individual, um, and community rooms, so we got to like be active, um, which is really great. Not to say that there weren't a lot of hard things. It was hard.
Sure.
It was really hard, but I think that having that helped. Something that also helped me, I'm trying to remember, it was like a wheel, and we put the things that we loved on it. It could be people, it could be experiences, it could be activities, and we were told to put them on the wall of our rooms when we got
Mm,
home, and to kind of remind us of things that we could either, people that we could talk to calm us down, things that we could do to calm us down, things that we love to do, and remember that there are people that love us and things that we do that are important to us and that we love to do.
definitely. I think, you know, one of the first therapists I saw in my life had told me that it's very easy to think about the things that are negative in our life. Those come to
Yeah.
your mind like that, right? Like
Yeah.
lightning. You don't want to think about all the problems you have, all the negative things. Oh man, your brain is so good at coming up with them, right?
Yeah.
Laundry list in seconds.
Yeah.
Much harder to not only remember, but also to stay focused on the positive things.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's an amazing exercise, and it's definitely one for anybody listening to constantly. I mean, that's something you can do every week, every day if you need to. It's sort of like medicine. It's like prescribe yourself as much as you need. You know what I mean? Of reinforcing the things that you're grateful for, the people you're grateful for, the experiences that you've had that have helped you, and constantly remind yourself of that stuff. And whenever you have that voice coming in that's telling you, but you don't have this, but you don't have that, but you didn't do this, but you didn't do that, the only way you can combat that voice is with positive affirmation.
Yeah.
Say, well, yeah, you know what, you're right, but I have an amazing dad who loves me
Yeah.
and who took me to vacation in Canada, and I have that to be grateful for. And I have this friend, and I met this person, and I love this class that I'm taking right now, and I just got accepted to a film school, which I love. And like this, you sound like you have all these amazing things to be grateful for, you know. And that
Yeah.
doesn't take away, you know, it's never to lessen our condition or our feelings. You always have to validate them. They're real, they're true, they're not to be ignored. But it's to also add positive affirmation with them so that we can combat those voices and make them just a little quieter. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because they
Yeah.
are a part of us. We have to accept them. There's sort of like there's sort of like a world of thought that we have to ignore those things and, you know, cut them
Push
away. No,
them
no, no.
away. Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah.
You have to love all of you. You know what I mean?
For sure.
All the nasty parts and the dark parts, that's all a part of you. You have to love every part of you.
Yeah.
So it's about accepting those things and just learning how to be better at accepting them. You know what I mean? And welcoming those parts, not shaming those feelings, not shaming those parts of you. Yeah, well, wow, that's an amazing poem you brought. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. And yeah, thank you for coming on. And then who knows, maybe I'll have you on again. I've
Yeah.
certainly really enjoyed this, and
Yeah. Definitely.
I know you're very smart, so I'm sure you've written many more poems.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I got more.
stay tuned in the next you know, following days, weeks, whatever, how
Of
long this
course.
pandemic goes.
I for
Um,
sure I will.
and thank you again for being so brave.
Thank you so much for
Okay,
having me on again.
of course. Okay, have a good night,
Bye.
Jada.
You
Jada,
too.
not Jada. I remembered. Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you so much to Jada. Wow. Yeah, that was an amazing talk, an amazing poem that she brought. Um, it's you know, it's strange how, God, when I was growing up, mental health just, it just wasn't talked about. There weren't, you know, classes or courses, or, you know, certainly not in elementary and high school. Like these just were not things that were being talked about. And if they were talked about, there was heavy stigmas, heavy, um, you know, discrimination against. You know, people would just, you know, throw around the word bipolar as if it was some negative connotation, like, oh, that person's being bipolar today. You know, saying horribly offensive things like that. And if you can imagine if you were bipolar, manic depressive, and experiencing that, hearing someone saying that so flippantly about a condition that you're facing, I can only imagine how offensive that would be. Someone wrote, "They still do." I know they still do. Yeah, no, the stigma is real. It's still there, but I'm glad that, Jada's generation, as much as they've been tasked this really crappy hand of social media and the negative influences of it, um, because we're constantly comparing and people are, giving these absolutely unrealistic ideas of beauty, which is so much harder on women and young girls, which, look, has always existed. Magazines have been around for ages. It's not like this idea of, media's tactic to shame women into, doing horrible things to their bodies has just been created today. Of course, it's been around for a long time, but I think social media has definitely magnified and amplified that voice. So it's something that we have to combat, as I was saying, with positive affirmation and supporting each other and telling each other, hey, you look beautiful today. You look great. Not only when you think maybe they've lost some weight or they got a haircut, but when everything is fine and nothing has changed, everything is normal. That's when you compliment people. That's when you know, give people positive affirmation and compliments. Um, it's a tricky time, and when you are young like Jada is, and certainly even younger than that, you're so fragile. You haven't really found your identity. You're just formulating who you are. I mean, people are still discovering, what they want to do, their sexuality, so many different things, and so it's just such a fragile time. And if you haven't been, raised by certain parents that have given you that thick skin and really enforced those things, it can be a time when, life is just very difficult. It's so larger than life. It's so dramatic. It's so, Romeo and Juliet, epic, tragedy, and um, because there's no reference point. There's no reference point. When you're young and you haven't had your heart broken, I'm sure a lot of you older people who are listening can relate. The first time you had your heart broken, man, it's like someone shot you with a 12 gauge in the chest. You just thought, that's it. I'm done. I'm dead. There's no way I'm recovering from this. My life is over. And of course, that's not true. Life goes on. You meet other people. You fall in love. They break your heart too. You break their heart. Going through that a couple times, you finally find the love of your life. You get married. You settle down. You think back at that first heartbreak as a distant memory, and you laugh. And if you're lucky, maybe you're still good friends with that person. You both laugh together. But when those things happen again in life, we then have a reference point. So we know, I'll get over this. This hurts now, but it's fine. But when you're young, like Jada is, and certainly even younger, all these things that are happening in school of that person said this to me, and oh my God, my clothes don't fit right, or how should I cut my hair? How can I get that boy to notice me? How can I get that girl to notice me? Oh my God, does she think I'm cool? Does she think I'm fat? Does she think I'm skinny? Does she think I'm short? All these insecurities that flood your mind because you haven't had these experiences in your life to tell you that it's all going to be okay and that none of that crap matters. None of that crap matters. Um, so I just say to all of you who are in Jada's generation and younger that, you know, get through high school. It's a tough time. Focus on your studies. Try to make friends. Try to keep your nose to the floor. You know what I mean? Hang out with the people that want to hang out with you. And if they don't want to hang out with you, lose them. Bye. Peace. Just hang out with cool people who want to be nice to people. Anybody who's negative and toxic, cut them out of your life. I don't care how amazing they are, how popular they are. They're losers. You don't want to be around any of them. You know what I mean? All the people, the coolest people are the nicest people. So just hang around with those people and you'll get through high school just fine. Um, yeah, I could go on this forever. Um, God, someone's wrote, And what's worse is I know kids who are 9 who are so insecure about themselves. Yeah, I know. And some of these kids now are getting like cell phones and Instagram before they're even in the double digits. Like, can you imagine a child being on Instagram? Like how fragile that ego is, how fragile that masculinity is, and you wanna add social media to that equation? My God, I mean, it's just a recipe for disaster. Um, I didn't have a phone until I was like late into high school, and even then, like, we just didn't have all this stuff. We kind of had Facebook a little bit. People were sharing a photo here and there, but we were all out. We were living life. We were like doing things. We were driving places. We were camping. We were fishing. We were like going places on the weekends. Like our phones was really just to kind of get a hold of each other. Where are you? Where do you want to meet? It wasn't hours of conversation on the phone. I mean, it was always about where we're going to meet. The phone was a tool to get together and to share experiences in life that were real. Um, so um, Fantasy Life writes, as a trans kid, it's pretty hard to face just being a teenager plus mental health problems and everyone being mean. You know what, Fantasy Life? I'm so sorry to hear that. That's just a part of life. That's never going to go away. Once you're an adult, there's still going to be mean people. Mean people exist in every city, in every country, in every continent around the whole world. You will never escape them. The only way you can escape them is by letting it not phase you. Now, you just got to be confident in yourself. There's always going to be someone who loves you, and I hope that you found that person and you just click to those people. Stick to the people who love you for you. Don't try to mold yourself into being something that people will like. That will always fail. That will always end in disaster. Just be yourself. And if you're young and you don't know who yourself is, figure it out. Find it out. Try things. Try new things. Experiment. Experience. Talk to different people. Go online. Watch YouTube videos. Read books. Watch films. These are how you find. These are the things how you find yourself. How you discover who you are. So. Um, um, yes, and for all you kids who are in high school and elementary school, just be nicer to each other. If you see somebody who's getting picked on, or shut all that down. Shut all that down. Don't be party or privy to any of that behavior. All right. I've been here for an hour, which is crazy, but it seems like there was a lot to say. Um, I love you guys so much. Thank you again to Jada for bringing her poem, and I'll see you guys tomorrow on another episode of Poetry in the PM. Love you guys, and see you tomorrow. Ciao.